Hello students, in this video we are going to look at types of triangles and how we can apply this knowledge and properties into geometry problems. So we have three types. The first one as shown in the red on the top left triangle, it's a scalene triangle. It means unequal. So there is no equal angle, there is no equal length either. The second one is on the top right, the yellow triangle. We call this an isosceles triangle. Isosceles literally means equal legs. So you have a pair of equal sides. So for instance, in this case, this leg here on the left and this leg here on the right, they are equal length. So, knowing that, apparently, also the two angles that are attached to the two equal legs should also be equal size. So, in this case, 80 degrees. Another type of triangle is equilateral triangles. It means equal sides. So, all angles are equal and all sides are equal length. So, because the sum of three angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, and because all angles in an equilateral triangle should be equal, then therefore each of them will be 60 degrees. So using all these properties that we know, we will try and solve some geometry problems including or involving triangles. The first one, in the blue triangle, we see that it is an isosceles triangle here. The two sides on the left and on the right are equal. So therefore, we know that this angle attached to the leg on the right-hand side is also 70 degrees. Therefore, knowing the sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees, then we know that 70 plus 70 plus angle x should be 180 degrees. 70 plus 70 is 140, so left over we have 40 degrees to reach 180. So angle x should be 40 degrees. In the next question, in the green triangle, we also see an isosceles triangle. And we have to be careful to decide which two angles are actually equal. So according to what we know, the two angles are equal when they are both attached to the equal sides, the equal legs of the triangle. So, which means angle x will be equal to the angle here on the right-hand side at the top. So this we will also call angle x because they both are equal size. So we know then that these both angles together plus 20 should be equal to 180. So we have 180 take away 20 is 160 degrees. So we know that this 160 degrees is the size of both angles x and x at the top. So 2x, so two lots of those angles is equal to 160 degrees. Therefore, x or one lot of this angle should be equal to 80 degrees. So hopefully this makes sense to you. We have now the very last few questions. So let's have a look. Angle A is actually outside of the triangle. So we see that the green triangle is also an isosceles triangle. Therefore, we know that this angle here at the bottom and the other angle on the left-hand side at the bottom will also be equal. So we will call it x in this case. So similar to what we have just done, we can just take away 30 from 180. So we have 150 degrees. And then we divide that by 2 to reach 75 degrees. So now, therefore, we know that each angle here at the bottom should be equal to 75 degrees. So this is 75 degrees and this is 75 degrees. So now we are going to zoom in to this part where angle A is asked. So we are supposed to find the size of angle A. So when we zoom in, then we see that there are two angles which actually make angles at the point. So angle A plus 75 degrees should actually be equal to 360 degrees because they are both are angles at the point. It is around 1 point, they are around 1 point, so therefore they sum up to 360 degrees. So in this case, easily we can see that angle A should be 285 degrees. So 285 plus 75 is 360. So that should be correct. All right, so we go to the top, no, to the bottom left now. So in this blue triangle, we can see that the sum of the angles should be 180 degrees. What we are asked is actually angle B. However, you probably notice that angle B and the angle which is inside the triangle at the top, they are back to back, so they are vertically opposite angles and therefore they are equal. So if we can find the angle at the top of the triangle, that should be equal size as angle B. So easily we can see that 40 plus 60 plus angle B, which is here, they're the same size, should be equal to 180 because the sum of all angles in a triangle should be 180. 40 plus 60 is 100, therefore angle B should be 80 degrees. Okay, now the very last one now. Let's have a look to this problem here on the bottom right. All these angles are around a point. The sum should be 360 degrees. That's what we know. However, we also know something else. You see there is a straight angle here, right? So therefore, the sum of this angle, which is on the right here, this arc, D and 120 should sum up to 180 degrees because they both together make 180 degrees, make a straight angle. So they are also called supplementary in this case. So easily we will see, we can figure out that D plus 120 should be 180. So therefore D should be 60 degrees. So that we can figure out easily. Okay. Now the next one you can solve in many different ways. However, hopefully you can realize that because we have two lines that are intersecting like this, then we know there are two angles that are back to back or vertically opposite angles, and those angles are this 120 degrees and the total of these three angles together, they are back to back. So 30 plus C plus 40 should be equal to 120. Hopefully you can see that. So that's the last thing that we do. 30 plus C plus 40 should be equal to 120. 30 plus 40 is 70, so C must be 50 degrees. So hopefully you see that we can use all kinds of geometrical properties and also the properties of types of triangles that we have just learned in solving problems, finding angles. You can practice with all the exercises now. Good luck!